Welcome to this tutorial where I walk you through the process of creating your own dynamic dimensions. Let's dive right in! Firstly, let me clarify what dynamic dimensions are. These are individually customizable, non-standard dimensions in DigiPara Liftdesigner that don't impact the 3D data model. Now, let's add our own dynamic dimensions. But first, as you can see, the dynamic dimensions are grayed out, means not selectable. They become selectable only when 2 points are chosen. Begin by selecting a component to define the first dimension point. Hover your mouse over one of the dimension points until the cursor text changes to dim. Then click the left mouse button to select it. Hold down the Control key and select the second component. Select the second point, release the Control key, and finally choose a dimension type: horizontal, vertical, or aligned. Simple, isn't it? As you can see, the dimension ID doesn't work with the dynamic dimensions. However, you can activate it using the Arrange Automatically button. In the Override Stocking window, you can see that 2 entries have been added by adding a dynamic dimension. One entry is for the dynamic dimension itself, and the other one is for the layout of the extension lines. Sometimes it's helpful to switch the selection mode from Select Components to Select Profiles, because some components don't offer the desired points. This allows you to choose individual component profiles, including associated profile points, offering more flexibility in your selections. For instance, when adding a dynamic dimension to a bracket, with the Select Components mode, you can only select the insertion point. But with the Select Profiles mode, every edge and middle point of the profile becomes selectable. Now, let's explore adding static or parametric values to a dynamic dimension point. Activate the dimension and access the properties. Under First Dimension Point and Second Dimension Point, you'll find options for offset in X, Y, and Z directions. You can add a static value like plus 50 mm, which can be positive or negative. Alternatively, you can include a parametric value from the data tree. For instance, if you want the second dimension point to align with the center of the cabin, open the rule editor for the dimension point to Y offset, find the car depth in the project tree, and multiply it with 0.5. Voila! Your dynamic dimension is set. Let's take a practical example involving dynamic dimensions for holes. Go to a vertical section view. When you want to add a dynamic dimension to a hole, you need to switch to the design mode so that you can select the hole. It's also helpful to deactivate the Line Style button under the Start tab. Let's add a dynamic dimension from the hole of the door to the top edge of the door component. Remember to hold the Control key. If you want this dimension on every floor level, you can manage it through the overrides. Check out video A3.3 for a detailed explanation of overrides if you haven't seen it yet. Activate the entry for the dynamic dimension and click the Replace button. Then delete everything behind the E0, including the dot, in both rows, and replace the 0 in the second row with an asterisk. As you can see, the extension lines of the new dimensions are short. To make them as long as the first one, simply repeat the steps for the layout entry of the dynamic dimensions. Congratulations! You've successfully completed the playlist B1 and reached the next level of proficiency. If you have any further questions or need additional assistance, feel free to reach out to our support team. Thanks for watching!